Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to the Wayne Bradley Show. How you doing this evening? Thank you for everyone that's listening in tonight. We're going to be starting off our show tonight we have a lot of issues going on. President Obama just threatened not to send out security disability checks to everybody if we don't get this budget in order. We got a lot of good, interesting things going on tonight. My first guest, and I'm waiting for her to call in now, will be Sonnie Johnson, the hip hop Palinista, as she calls herself. I'm waiting for her to call in now, and we're gonna have a good conversation. I'm looking forward to it. So let me go ahead, take this call here. Caller, you on the air?
What's up, Wayne? Hello?
Caller, can you hear me?
Hello? Hello?
Caller, you're on the air. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Now I can. Sonnie, how you doing?
I'm doing just fine. How are you?
All right. It looks like it was just about to get started on my Facebook page there. I'm glad you called me here. How you doing this evening?
I always like a good laugh, and I just wanted to know what was so funny.
I'm looking forward to hearing about that too. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. I've been looking forward to this conversation, and I follow you a lot on Facebook, and I commend you for the things that you've been doing out here so far. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, now, first thing that for people that don't know you, that maybe not familiar with you, can you give people a little introduction to Sonnie Johnson and what you've been doing lately, and we can talk more about the movie appearances and things like that. Can you give people who are listening a little introduction to Sonnie?
Okay, Sonnie is, at the heart of me, a little ghetto girl. I grew up, had my own little girl, so I'm looking at things a lot differently. But I also look at everything in the scope of what I went through to get to where I am. So I make sure that I live in that world of not forgetting everything that I've learned the hard way. I got 4 principles that I live with. I call them WHWD, and it's what he would do, God first foremost in my life. It's what the hood would do. That's just my family, my friends, my sisters, and how everything goes. Hip-hop is capitalism, the free market, are basically the structure of our culture, and, of course, history, our past, where we came from, so you don't repeat the same mistakes. Anything that I believe in, I run through all 4 of those. If it doesn't fit into all 4, then I reassess my position on the subject.
Okay.
That's me.
Wow. All right. Now, that's interesting. Now, the thing you said, where are you from?
Richmond, Virginia.
Okay.
Born and raised.
Born and raised. And, I rarely don't ask you this question too often, but I'll just go ahead and take my chances here and say, how old are you, Sonnie?
I'm 30 years old.
Okay,
I'm not ashamed of my age. I made it. I made it. That's all I can say. I look back at how many of my friends are not here.
Right.
I made it to 30, so I'm not ashamed to tell you my age.
No doubt. I can definitely respect that. Now, you said you grew up in the hood in Richmond, Virginia. What were some of the transformations, and what were some of the things that made you start looking at things differently? Not only just obviously from a political perspective, but what were some of the things that shaped your thinking?
I didn't even look at anything. When I started blogging, It wasn't to be political. I had no aspirations to be political at all. It's just I saw that there were problems in my community, and I was like, my own opinion, I was like, if we tried this, it might work. If we tried that, it might work. And that's when I got the onslaught of, oh my God, you Uncle Tom, you this, you that. And I'm like, what in the whoa, where's all of this coming from? Right. And then one of my articles got picked up in Hip Hop Republican. Okay. And I was pissed, excuse my language. I was mad.
No problem.
I was like, what? Republican, what? And it took me, I had to sit down and do some research, because if people can attack me and call me out my name without even knowing me, then maybe I need to know, what side I'm standing on and what group of people I'm standing with. So that was just the first nudge, kind of, and then it was the history. Once I started actually going back and learning the things that they don't teach you in school,
right?
That's when I was like, oh no, and that's when the change really came.
Now, how long have you been blogging? And let's give your blog a little shout out too. How long have you been blogging?
Well, my original blog, DidSheSayThat.com, I've been doing that for about 2 years now, and it is what I wrote yesterday. What I wrote yesterday or said today, I may not believe tomorrow because of what I learned today.
Okay.
I think, yeah. So it's basically to say that we come into this mindset of, when we become a conservative, we think that we kind of escaped the indoctrination. Like, we got out scot-free. Like, it didn't leave any bruises on us at all. And that causes us not to look at our own faults. And one of the faults that we have is believing that everything we know is true. Everything that we believe is true. Or, everything that we've been taught, told, or heard is true. And we don't go out and do the extra research to make sure that it's true. Right. So that's the kind of point that I wanted to bring on my blog, is that we hear a lot of things, especially in our culture, and we just accept them for what they are, and we don't do any background into it. We don't check to make sure the facts are right. We just laugh it off and say, ha ha, that's funny. And I think that not only dumbs us down, but it also does incredible damage to our culture. Like, when we're complaining now about not seeing black faces on TV, or not having black faces in movies, or like, what is the stigma now is that you can't be black and in a movie if you don't wear a dress, and that includes the men. So that's kind of the thing that we're going through now. But we're not questioning who's pulling the strings. Why is it that we are constantly, as a group, complaining about our culture? If we're all 90%, as they say, all in one tent, then why are we complaining about the culture that we're being given? And I just think that it's time that we start asking each other some questions and not being afraid to change our opinion of what we thought yesterday.
I totally agree. And that goes for liberals and conservatives about that. I mean, I think sometimes someone made a point to me the other day about how sometimes we can jump from one idea to the other. I don't like to use the word plantation, but that's what actually conservatives say. You say sometimes you got guys who leave the liberal plantation and go jump right to the conservative one without getting all the facts and just speaking on what's really out there. So I can appreciate that. You've done a lot of Tea Party speaking over the last couple of years. How's that experience been for you?
Oh, I love tea parties. People laugh and think that it's funny, but I'm like, have you ever went to one? And I love this. There's no black people at the Tea Party. I'm like, okay, well, there's nothing but black union members at Democratic parties, but you don't say anything about that. The black youth aren't showing up at Democratic parties, so where are the black youth? They're disinterested, and they don't believe that they have a part in government. So throwing the racial differences out when it comes to, like, Democrats and the Tea Party is just ridiculous, because the truth is the majority of the ones who show up on the Democratic side is because they're being paid to do so.
Right.
Especially when it comes to, like, a lot of the rallies and stuff. You will see them in their SEIU shirts. Okay, they got bused there, they got free lunch, and they got to go to a different city. It isn't they showed up on their own free will. And that's kind of what it is with the Tea Party. But I can understand some of the challenges and why people think it's so funny. And I always like to go to the analogy of food. All right, when I go to a Republican event, there's canapé and there's quiche and there, and I'm looking at this and I'm like, I wouldn't dare eat any of this. And it makes me feel totally uncomfortable. And then there's like bread at the end of the table, so you just grab a piece of bread and you walk around because you just want to have the perception that you're eating something.
Right.
Well, when you go to a tea party, it's pizza, it's chicken. I've had hamburgers and hot dogs fresh off of somebody's grill, you know? And I'm like, and just that perception alone, you can tell the difference. Like the huge difference. I'm going to eat when I go to a tea party. I'm assured of that. It's going to be something there that I like because they're just normal people.
Right.
And once we get to the point where we realize that, we have a lot more in common with the tea partiers than we have in common with the elite that go to Martha's Vineyard to vacation. You know, we don't put Dijon. Well, some of us do. Let me not say that, but you know what I mean. Is that we like the basics. Even if we had the chance to, if we had the chance to change it, I'm still gonna be a fried chicken eating, barbecue rib, you know, slopping down. Always want gravy on my. I'm always gonna be that, and. Right. That's just the normal people that you meet in a tea party. Now, of course, there are political things that are the same as well, but I always like to just break it down to the people. Where are you going to go where you feel comfortable? Like my last tea party I went to, I did it like thought you have to dress up or you have to look nice, and then I keynoted at a tea party on 4th of July, and I wore a pair of white shorts and a pullover shirt.
Okay.
Because that's what it's comfortable. It is come as you are. You don't go out and buy something new. It's people don't try to show off. They don't try to be the best. They don't try to be the biggest. They just want to commune. They just want to be friends and meet you. And in the same instance, fight for their country. Right.
Now, considering how popular you've gotten in these events, is there any political career on the horizon for you?
Oh, not for me. Not for me, not yet. I have a rule. If my community comes to me and says, you told us we have to pick our own leadership and we pick you, then I will say that I would run. I've already been offered the opportunity to run by some of the Republican hierarchs in my state. And I've turned it down because that's not what I'm here for. I understand that politics is the base of it. If we can't get the policies in our cities to change, then we're going to have a hard time changing our overall community. But we won't change the politics until we change the people.
Right.
So I'm much more interested in going in the city and telling them some of the things that I know that they don't know. But not only that, empowering them to look for leaders within themselves. Because we keep on, how it is with politicians. Even if with a black Democrat, if they're caught up in some mix, a black person blows it off like it's just expected. And we have to get to the point where we expect more, and we will only get to the point where we expect more when we participate in the process. So it's also the stigma along with that, where it is that we don't belong, we don't fit. It's the white man's government. Well, it runs in majority numbers, or in representational numbers. If you're in an all-black city or where the vast population of the city is minority, then you should control your city. If things aren't going right in your city, then it's probably because you're not paying attention to the people you are putting in a position of power. And that is the problem, that we don't pay attention. And then when the presidential elections roll around, we want to hang all our hopes on one candidate to be our savior. And the president isn't going to save you from your school board. He's not going to save you from your zoning commission. He's not going to save you from your city council. You have to be the one who knows what's going on, who knows what kind of policies they're pushing, whether they're pro-job, whether they're pro-growth, or whether they're designed to keep you exactly where you are, below poverty.
Right. Wow. Well, I can't sit here and say I'm a little disappointed. It sounds like you would be a great leader in the community. I hope that down the line you'll definitely consider that more because I mean your passion is evident even just here on the microphone. I hope down the road maybe you consider that and the people in your community will round you up and draft you because it sounds good. Now I want to ask you a little bit more about the movie that you made an appearance in recently, the Undefeated. How was that experience for you?
Oh, I loved it. Actually, Steve Bannon, I did a movie with him before, Fire from the Heartland. And I like to always point out something that he told me. Everywhere I go, any chance I get, I point this out. He told me, and this was the first person, and I had been in kind of doing this thing for about a year and a half, and I've had so many people tell me, if you just do this, if you just change that, if you decide that you want to, run the state, then all you have to do is this. Well, after I interviewed with Steve from Fire from the Heartland, he stopped me and he told me, he said, everybody's going to try to change you and tell you what you should be, what you could be, what you ought to be. He said, do not let them steal away from you that which makes you great.
Right.
And that's like, that was the point where I was like, you know what, you're right. This is what I am. God made me this way for a reason. It's not an accident. So I'm not going to change who I am. I'm going to be exactly who I am, and I'm going to do it the way that I want to do it. So once I told Steve that, I guess when he decided to do the Sarah Palin documentary, he just called me up one day and he was like, I'm doing a secret project, and I need you to be a part of it. Okay. And I'm like, okay, whatever, I'm there. Just tell me when and where. So I went, and he said, it's Sarah Palin. And I didn't know what he was going to ask. I didn't know what he was going to say. And he was just like, go. and so I did. And it's a very good, very excellent case study in what the media can do to a person. It is a very good case study to show how often what we hear about people is the direct opposite of what they actually are. And one thing that Steve Bannon, who's the writer-producer, one thing that he always stresses when he talks about this movie is that even though it is the story of Sarah Palin, it's not the objective. The objective is to point out the undefeated, the people who take the bumps, who take the bruises, who take the abuse, who have to deal with it constantly only to stand on what they believe. Right. And they stand on it nonetheless. That makes them undefeated. And I'm like, the first time I heard him say that, I'm like, that is my community. That is the people that I am, those are my people, the people who have not had mom or not had dad or had them on substance abuse or, had them just in the worst possible situations. Past coming back. But just those people, and they find a way every day to get up and to find something to smile about and to strive for something a little bit more and to reach for something a little bit more. Even if in reality it's not really attainable because they're missing so much of their history. They're missing so much of what they should have got in public schooling. They're missing so much of financial planning. They're missing so much that they don't see the end of the road, but nonetheless they fight.
Right.
And that is the essence of the Undefeated. So while it is a movie about Sarah Palin and her life, and it does point out so many fallacies that the media and all the hate, the cultural hate that was directed at her. The overall theme is that when you stand on principle, that when you stand on what you believe in, and when you stand on what you love, and no matter what comes your way, you keep standing, that makes you undefeated.
Gotcha. What do you, as far as Sarah Palin and her political aspirations, do you think that she should run here in 2012?
I don't even give an answer to that question. I told her I got to go to the premiere.
Okay.
And I had a wonderful time. I got to meet her, and I got to hang out with her for about 20 minutes of conversation. So I had a wonderful time meeting her. But I told her then, I said, I'm not going to ask you if you're going to run. I'm not going to tell you to run. All I'll say is that if you decide to run, that I will campaign for you. I will be yours till 2012.
Gotcha.
But I'll do it in the black community. You know, I'm not coming out of my community to do it. You know,
gotcha.
It's going to be rough and tumble in there. But the thing that I try to sell about her, especially to people who feel that they are oppressed, if you really think that you are oppressed, then Sarah Palin should make you happy, because she's the one candidate that promises to get the hell out of your life.
Right.
You know, she promises to not come into your life. And what other candidate do you know that promises that? So no, you know, it's about giving you the opportunity to see what you can be great at.
Right.
And that's what I love. I'm like, because I was asked what's going to happen. Well, if you're going to be hers until 2012, what'll happen in 2013? I said, well, in 2013, I would see government shrinking. So naturally, leaders would have to stand up in their communities to take the places that government once held. So
right.
I would be in my community in 2013. You
okay.
know, and that needs to be the thinking all over this country, that we're tired of waiting. Sarah Palin isn't going to save us, but guess what? Barack Obama isn't going to save us. Mitt Romney isn't going. None of them are going to save us. The only
right.
way we're going to get anywhere is the day that we decide that we ourselves are worth saving, and then we stand up and get at it.
Right. Got you. Now, you know, that's something else, as African Americans, conservative or not. How did you feel when, you know, as we're looking forward to 2012, how did you feel when President Obama initially was elected?
Oh, I'm sorry. You said African American. I'm not one of those.
Okay, well,
I'm a James Brown American. I'm black and I'm proud. That's what I am. I'm not a Jesse Jackson, you know, American. I'm not that. I'm a James Brown. I live in America. I'm that one.
Well, I'm all right. How about as a black person? Is that good? You know, sometimes the labels, you know, as an American. How about as an American? How did you feel when President Obama was elected initially?
I called my grandmother that morning, the morning afterwards. I called my grandmother and I said, so are you surprised that he won? Mm-hmm. And my grandmother said, no. Why would I be? And at that moment, it hit me that I wasn't raised to care about the color of someone's skin.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? At that moment, even though I didn't vote for him, I voted for John McCain. But oh God, did I just say that out loud? Like that wasn't like a good. That wasn't a good. Let's say I voted because Sarah Palin was on the ticket with John McCain. That sounds better.
I can live with that. That's fine with me.
that makes me feel better than just saying John McCain. But it hit me about how I was raised. I wasn't raised to see color. I was raised on the content of someone's character and not their color. And it did nothing for me to say, okay, now we have a black man in office, because I was 100% against everything that he stands for. You know, so it would have been a difference if, like, Thomas Sowell was up there, and I would have been like, oh, yeah, you know, I think I would have felt differently because I believe in him. Exactly. You know, so I would have held it differently. It would have been his character that excited me, not the color of his skin. So that's how I felt about it. And I just knew all along what he was. When everybody was like, don't listen to Reverend Wright, I'm like, okay, that's the one we need to be listening to. The minute they tell you not to listen to him, that's the one you need to start paying attention to. And so pay attention I did. And when you start to hear it, and I know this is off subject, but this is something that I always have to mention, this idea of mutual salvation.
Okay.
they get us hooked in thinking that what's good for this man is good for you because you share the same skin color.
Right.
And if you don't help out this man, then you're not going to get in, or you're not going to get into heaven. Well, that's not the way it works. If you don't have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, then you're not going to get into heaven.
Right.
That's the way it works. And that has nothing to do with a skin color.
Exactly.
At all.
I agree.
So first and foremost, make that point. And then the second point is we're not mutual people in our private lives. So why are we mutual people when it comes to politics? And I take the scenario. When I grew up, all my boys ran in fives. It was 5 of them. For every kind of group that I had, it was 5 boys that basically ran together. And all 5 had their own hustle.
Right.
You know, not to go on what their hustles were, but all 5 had their own hustles. Now, if one of them decided he didn't want to hustle anymore, the other 4 was not going to pay for him.
Right.
You know, they would have been like, well, you SOL, you out of luck. No, dude, that's not the way it works. You better go out there and make your own money. We know it to be true because we understand that not all people try and really want things out of life. So if you group yourself in with that mutual salvation, there will always be more people pulling down than it is people lifting up. So when they tell you everything should be even in everybody's house, then you go and you look at your local crackhead, your local, you know what I'm saying, your local dissident, whatever it is that's on your block. You go look at him and think if you want to be equal to him. Because you're not going to be equal to Bill Gates. It's not going to lift you up to where you go and you all of a sudden a millionaire. It's going to bring Bill Gates down to you. And if everybody has to be equal, then you have to look at the least of us, the ones who don't want to change, who wouldn't take advantage of the opportunities that were presented to them no matter what. If you look at them and think about yourself being equal to them, no matter how hard you work, no matter how hard you try, forever and ever, you will be equal to them because that's what you're asking for with mutual salvation. And we need to be very clear about that maybe Reverend Wright isn't the issue we need to be paying attention to, but the preaching that comes out of his mouth is very important.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. What's coming out of his mouth is giving you the clues. Definitely was giving you the clues. Who are you looking at if Sarah Palin doesn't get involved? Is there anyone else that particularly gets any of your interest in this 2012 race?
Not really. Not really. I'm like willing to look at Rick Perry if he were to get in, but not really. No. Okay. I'm like run Sarah, run, please.
What did you have to say today about President Obama threatening to cut off the Social Security checks and the disability checks and veterans checks if we don't get a deal done by August 2nd?
I want to. All right. Social Security. I thought that was in a lockbox. And I thought that money was there. And according to Obama, there is no problem with Social Security. And Social Security is solvent. And all of this and all of that. And Social Security isn't the cause of our debt problem. These are all things that Barack Obama has said about Social Security. How then, with anything in our budget, if this is in a lockbox that is 100% there and solvent, as he said is, what's going to stop Social Security checks from coming out? Unless you're lying and the money isn't there. So it has to be one of the other. Either the money's in the lockbox and Social Security payments will go out, or the money isn't there and it is a problem for our deficit.
Could it possibly be the biggest Ponzi scheme ever? I don't know.
It sounds like it, but this is also something that I have to say. And for my elders, you did this, and no offense you did this. You stood by and you watched it happen. You watched our debt double. You watched it triple. You watched it quadruple. You did nothing. You stuck your hand out and you took more and you took more and you let the government spend more. Our generation didn't do this. It was your generation that did this. Now, in the same token, you turn around and you say, oh, the younger generation has no respect and they have no morals and they're just an entitlement society. Well, where do you think we got it from? We got it from you. When you started to vote, not my Social Security, don't touch my Social Security, did you think we weren't paying attention? So now we're like, no, we don't want to touch anything. No cuts at all because we feel entitled now. We got that from you. You passed that on. So now it's about time that you start correcting some of the mistakes that you made. And if you were good parents, then your children should have no problem helping to ease your burden by either taking you in or assisting you if something does happen where your benefits would have to get cut. But if you were a self-indulgent parent that paid more attention to your own life than raising your own kids, and now your kids don't want to have anything to do with you and you're dependent on Social Security, then maybe that's your fault and penance you might need to pay. But the simple fact is, older Americans are not the only Americans. And yes, you can say, I paid into the system my whole life. At the same time you were paying into the system, you were watching the system fall off a ledge. You were watching it implode. And whether you can say I wasn't paying attention or I was too busy, whatever you were doing, it happened on your watch. And while you're asking the youth to be more responsible, how about you start leading by example and stop complaining and crying and say, nah, my Social Security check.
Wow, Sonnie, you are keeping it realer than real over here. I appreciate that. I've posed that question many times to the older generation and saying, would you take out a $50,000 loan and know that you couldn't pay it back and leave it to the responsibility of your kids? Most of their answers is no, I wouldn't do something like that. I said, but you're doing that right now with our government. So I agree with you. I think that the older generation definitely needs to take a look at it, and it probably will have to be some adjustments made if we're going to get this economy back on track. Because again, like you said, we didn't create this debt.
Yeah, but we will have to be. That's why if we do not stand up, we will be the generation that is crushed by it. And it doesn't have to turn into, the age breakdown where it's like young versus old. But it will come with both of us taking personal responsibility. Not caring. We can say what happened in the past and state truthfully what happened in the past, but only move on with what we're going to do with our future. And this is the thing that I say. If we can get a responsible president that would actually tell the truth and actually make real cuts in their budget, have a president that offers real cuts in the budget that they hand to Congress. That would actually be a leader, that would, actually handle a problem. But if we can get that kind of president in to office, and then to have that president actually cut spending and not try to keep their own pet projects in place, not try to, to keep their friends in high places taken care of, but someone who actually comes in and cuts across the board, then I think you will have it where people would be more trusting and willing to sacrifice. Because maybe I was a little hard on the older generation, but I can understand why they're like, all the government's going to do is spend anyway, so why cut me? So if you can get it in place where you can actually see that the government will shrink, that not only will seniors have to understand that maybe they will have to take some cuts in their Social Security, that us as the youth coming up will understand that maybe every kid can't go to college. Maybe every kid isn't meant to go to college. You know, like our country is running deficit on welders and on, on fine manufacturing, being able to process computer chips and the like, because no one actually goes to trade schools anymore.
Right.
And one thing I say, especially about my neighborhood, is I know 20 people I can call to fix my plumbing, but I don't know a single plumber. I know 30 people that I can call to come and fix my car, but I don't know a single auto mechanic, because these are skills where now we're taught you have to go to school to be a plumber.
Okay.
Really? What happened before there were plumbing schools? People just went in, they learned by trial and error, they went into internships or something like that, and they learned the craft that way. And now you have plumbers that are getting paid $24, $25 an hour. You telling me that isn't a job that someone in the hood can take up and say, okay, I fix pipes, but look how I got a job that paid me $25 an hour.
Right.
But it's all placed in this, we all got to go to college. It's no value in being able to work with your hands, even if your hands can lead you to entrepreneurship, because I ain't saying necessarily you have to work for somebody else. Open your own plumbing company, and now you're a businessman. But you got to learn the craft first. So, but we would understand that we would have to make sacrifices. We would have to stop looking at the government. Our generation would have to stop looking at the government like it owes us something. But the older generation would have to do the same. They would have to say, it did happen on our watch. We do have to take a hit in this and stop with this, this idea that, like, you're the only Americans. You're not the only Americans, okay?
Exactly. Wow. Well, I appreciate your perspective on it. We've talked a lot about politics. Now, there's something else that I want to talk to you about, and I know you're obviously you love a lot. The state of hip-hop right now. We're going to get away from this politics just for a moment.
Yay!
That's what I say, too. Yay. I can tell a lot about a person by their favorite rapper. Who's your favorite hip-hop artist right now?
I don't have a favorite.
Who are a couple of your favorites?
All right, a couple of my favorites, all depending on the mood. My favorite philosopher would be Jay-Z.
All right.
Hands down, he's my favorite philosopher. My favorite, my passion man, the one that when I'm listening to him, I'm just in love, is Pac. Okay. He writes to women, and not a lot of artists think that is important, but he made it a part of his goal in his music to include us, and I'm very passionate about Pac for that. Very passionate. I love T.I. All right. So I have to try to disconnect myself a little bit, but all I can say is redemption has to be possible for everyone. I can't sit there and judge that man, because who knows where I'll be a year from now and what might happen that might put me in that place. So I always say redemption, but lyrically you can't say he's not a beast. No doubt. And for my future, I think that it's J. Cole. I just love J. Cole. You got a real hip hop head here. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, most definitely.
No doubt. I can appreciate that. J. Cole. He's definitely on the come up. I can definitely appreciate that. All right. Well, that's what's up there. Anybody else? Anybody else out there on your list that you're looking at? Young future guys that's coming up right now?
I was like, okay, this is my problem with being a conservative.
No, hey, let it out, because I don't get too many conversations with conservatives either. We get to talk about hip hop, so I'm more than thrilled.
If you are a conservative, it can make you hate. It can make you hate some of the people that you actually love. Like, I'm a Lupe fan. I like Lupe Fiasco.
I'm even worse. I'm a big time Jeezy fan. That's one of my favorite rappers. So that tells you we have a lot of varying taste out here.
I liked Snowman. I couldn't once you came out and told me your president was black and your Lambo blue, you lost all credibility with me. I'm sorry.
That's still my guy right there.
No,
I gotta keep it 100.
At that point, I mean, not even a point that you were shouting out to Obama. That has nothing to do with it. That has literally nothing to do with it. But when you're supporting an idea of spreading the wealth,
right,
at the same time talking about your Lambo, then you have lost all credibility with me. And it wasn't even that. What happened with Jeezy? I watched him one day flipping through the channels on 106 in Park, and he had on this white furry coat, and he looked like a little Chihuahua dog. And I was like, and he was like rapping about how hard he was, and I'm like, you look like a marshmallow, and you are actually rapping about how hard you are.
That's my boy. You gotta leave Jeezy alone. You beating up on my boy.
You asked for it. I have to just be honest. Honest.
You're beating up on my boy Jeezy, but
I have to be honest. But let me point out real fast for my sister real quick.
Go ahead.
Because I had to do this. For Nicki Minaj.
Woo.
I have tried to hate this woman. Woo. No, I'm gonna be on some honesty. I don't try to hate on anybody, and I have tried to hate Nicki Minaj. I can't hate her. I'm like, go Nicki, go. You know, you different, you original, you who you are. But I got to watch her special on BET, and I got to hear her in her own words talk about why she does what she does. Not just the passion for the music, but the passion to take her family from where they are
right
to something better. At that moment, I'm like, go, Nicki, go.
Yeah, I gained a lot more respect for her. Initially, it was only a few things that I liked about her, but after I really listened to the album, I really got to appreciate her a lot more than just her, some of the other things that go on in her life. But she's really a dope artist, so I can feel you on that, because I always usually she's gonna be whack, she's just gimmicky or whatever. But the more I heard her rap, she was pretty nice with it. So
she layer it. She layer it, and she makes you, when you have to re-listen to it. That's like my target of my song. If I of the way I judge music. If I hear a song and I let it go past, then it's usually not something I love. But with Nicki, you actually have to, you listen to it one time and you have to go back. And it like fights me, because my daughter is like, I want to listen, and Mama don't play that. Woo. But at the same time, some of the things that she says, I'm like, I will not shield my daughter so much that she is unprepared. Right. So I have picked a handful of Nicki Minaj songs now that has a little bit of language in it, but what she's saying in the song overall, I agree with. So I had to do that. I did that, but I am very specific about what I let my daughter listen to. So. Hello?
Sonnie.
Yes.
Sorry about that. I don't know what happened there on my line. The technical difficulty there. I was just, one thing before I got knocked off here. You said you have a daughter. I have two. How old is your daughter? And that's one thing. about the hip hop music, and we're gonna get off hip hop in a minute here. But how old is your daughter, and how do you balance letting them listen to hip hop music? And as we grew up on hip hop, but we know it's not exactly what we want them to walk around repeating and saying.
Oh, I really don't have a problem with that because my daughter is into rock.
Uh-oh.
I don't know how. I don't know why, but she likes rock music. She's more, we will rock you, yeah, Mom. She's much more that than hip hop, and I think that as she gets older, that'll change because I don't let her listen to it as much now, and as she does get older, I will let her listen to more. But she's much more Miley Cyrus, the old, the young version.
Gotcha.
She's much more Victorious and those kind of things than she is hip-hop right now. So she's all rock and pop, and I just laugh at it because it's like I know she's going to hit that precipice where she changes.
Gotcha.
And I'm just like praying that it doesn't happen for a while.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely relate to that. I can with two daughters, I know I can relate to that. Well, you know what? I just want to say again, it's been refreshing having this interview because, like I said, I rarely get to talk to any hip hop or anybody who has any hip hop knowledge with me on the line. So I really thoroughly enjoyed this interview. I want to tell you that I watching the different speeches you've done, I've been really impressed. I hope you continue to do a good job because we need more people like you in the community helping out and really reaching out to people so they understand. I mean, because I'm in Detroit, you're in Virginia. People don't understand that there are young people in our age group that are trying to reach out and do the right things. And I appreciate you coming on tonight and help spreading that word because I guarantee you if people are listening tonight, you've changed at least one person's perspective on how they look at things here tonight. So thank you so much for coming on.
And I'll just thank you for having me, and I'll just leave it at this. I don't propose to change anyone's mind. I don't want any group of followers. You know what I'm saying? I don't want people looking at me for the truth. I want people that are willing to stand up and tell me what they believe in. And once you can stand up and tell me what you believe in, if I tell you that those are conservative principles, then I want you to believe in what you believe in, to stand for what you believe in, not what you've been taught to believe. So it is not about following me. It is not about doing what I say or having the same opinion that I have. I'm talking about have the same opinion that you carry with you every day of your life, on the street, in your own home, in your church. Every opinion that you have at those moments, make sure you take them with you to the voting booth, because I have a feeling that if we actually took a good hard look at ourselves and what we actually believe in and then matched it up, we wouldn't be,
brainwashed
voices trying, we would have more people understanding that it's okay to want a husband and a wife and a family and a house and careers. I mean, what is so bad about me not only wanting that for myself, but wanting it for other black people in my community? What is so bad with me saying I don't want you in failing schools? What is so bad with me saying I don't want you taking your child to the welfare office and having your child think that that is the way that they are fed by someone giving to them? I want you to have a life where you work and you let your kids see it so your kids want to emulate you. What is so wrong with wanting that?
Nothing at all. I appreciate it. I hope to get you to Detroit soon because it's a lot of people that need to hear your message. And, I really appreciate you coming on the show tonight, Sonnie. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me.
All right. Have a good night and God bless.
Thank you.
Wow. Well, that was, like I said, that has been one of my best, what I would consider an enjoyable interview there because we got to talk about a lot of different topics. Thank you again, Sonnie, for coming on the show. Call in if you have anything to say, if you have any questions, 347-996-3175. Call in. The call-in number is 347-996-3175. We got a few minutes left here on the show tonight. We had President Obama last night threatening to not send out Social Security checks And like Sonnie said, I thought that was solvent. That's something that can't be touched. But all of a sudden now, it got my grandmother-in-law and my mother-in-law worked up. Of course they blamed it on Republicans that the Social Security checks aren't going to go through, and I think that's unfortunate because people are believing that now. This is the analogy that I use. I got a $5,000 credit card and it's maxed to the limit. I can't call Visa and say, why don't you raise it to $7,000 and I'll work on trying to pay you back everything, but I'm not going to change any of my spending habits. I'm not going to change anything that I do any differently. We're going to keep doing exactly what we've been doing, and we're supposed to expect things to change. All right, I got a call here. Caller, you on the air?
Hey, Wayne, what's happening? This is Stacy.
Stacy, how you doing, brother?
Hey, man, I had to listen to my little sister.
How you think she did, man? I enjoyed that interview.
Sonnie always holds her own, and she shoots from the hip. She's transparent. With Sonnie, what you see is what you get. So, that's my little sister, man. I try to support her, as you know, in everything that she does, and I'm very proud of her.
Excellent.
Even though she gives me a hard time all the time.
Hey, well, that's what family's for.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. So Sonnie and I, we have our debates, man. But Sonnie is a very important voice in our country right now, and I just think that more people need to hear her message, and I'm looking to get her here in Detroit, I hope.
I hope so, man. She really has a message that could drive home a lot of people here, so that would be a good thing. That would definitely be a good thing. What's on the agenda with you next, Stacy? What's going on in Stacy Swimp's world?
Well, really pushing for the Freedom to Work initiative here. I'm one of the spokespersons for the Michigan Freedom to Work Coalition, which simply is an initiative to make sure that Americans have freedom of choice here in the state of Michigan to join or not join a union. You and I have had this discussion, Wayne, on many occasions. Michigan, for 10 consecutive years, was ranked number 50 in creating private sector jobs. So we need to do a better job in creating a business-friendly environment here in the state of Michigan, which starts with pushing public policies that are business-friendly. And particularly in the urban cities, we desperately need jobs. So that's not going to happen unless we can push things like right to work, unless we can eliminate prevailing wages. As far as I'm concerned, eliminating minimum wage.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, you're a busy man. I just actually saw a YouTube clip of you from an event this past weekend. I saw you get into it with one of those Planned Parenthood protesters over there.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was being recorded until afterwards. Someone came and said, "Hey, I got a great footage of you," and I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know what part of that whole exchange was recorded, but I certainly couldn't resist the temptation to go and talk to them. I wasn't necessarily negatively, I don't think you saw it, I didn't, but I don't think I was negatively confrontational, but I certainly wanted to talk to these people because I just had the notion that they really didn't know the history of Planned Parenthood, and sure enough, once I began to engage them in dialogue, no one out there knew that Marjorie Sanger was a racist, that she believes in eugenics, and she verbatim said that she wanted to annihilate the black race. I mean, when I said that to them, some of those people looked at me like I was crazy, and essentially, I think we got through to a couple of them. I mean, one of the ladies walked up to me and gave me a hug and gave me a bottle of water not long after that.
Well, it sounds like you're making some progress and getting folks to at least listen. That's half the challenge in itself.
Well, I was just a small part of that. The real workers are the ones. That's what they do all the time. Okay, I was out there that day, but you got Michigan Right to Life, you got Dr. Monica Miller, and you have the Michigan Jordan and black pro-life activists here in Michigan, and they do it, day in, day out, week in, week out. They're the ones that deserve the real credit. The Bible says one plants, one waters, God gives the increase. I just came in and threw a little seed in the ground, but they're the real workers, and they deserve the real credit.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, that's what's up. That sounds like you're, as usual, staying busy on the agenda out there, Stacy.
Well, man, I've heard it said that the harvest is plenty, but the laborers are few. So there's no time to wait and no time to play games. And we need more people like you out here, Wayne, and waiting for that big decision from you. You know what I'm talking about. I actually discussed. I talked about you today with one of our state party leaders, by the way.
Uh-oh. Hope it was good information there.
Well, first of all, I'm not going to let anybody say anything but good things about you in my presence. And
I appreciate that, man. As you know, we're still pondering it and still thinking about it, but it's we're getting closer and closer to a decision. That's for sure.
Well, you've got tremendous support from State Party for this. I mean, you already knew that, but I certainly got a confirmation of that today. And I guess we can discuss that offline.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. I had to give you a call about that off the air.
Yeah. I mean, in fact, when you called me and I tell you who it was and how adamant they were, we need him to run. I mean, I'm like, okay, because I was getting ready to go into my whole spiel of, I don't want my brother to be sent out there. Like you and I talked about, Wayne,
Right.
I don't want him out there without a certain amount of financing for his campaign. I don't want to see you throw my brother under the bus, blah, blah, blah. Oh, man, he ripped me a new one.
So you said he shut it down, huh? Well, hey.
He shut it down. And the way he shut it down was so smooth, I couldn't even get mad about it. And, he had me thinking like, maybe I should rethink, the way I was thinking about this. But, no matter what, we're going to support you, Wayne. You know how I feel about you. You know how we feel about you. So whatever you do, you can count on us.
All right, man. Well, I thank you so much. I appreciate you calling in, and I'm going to be giving you a call real shortly, my friend.
Okay, my brother. Have a good one. All right.
Thank you so much, man. I'll talk to you real soon, bro.
Okay. Peace.
And that is Stacy Swimp, the man. He'll be on the show, I believe, Thursday evening. So I'm looking forward to that. We're gonna have a real fun show on Thursday. I'm gonna let I've got some confirmed guests here. I've got Stacy Swimp. I've got Gary Glenn. I've got Tom McMillan coming on, and I'm hoping I can get my buddy Brandon Jessup to come on the show too Thursday night. We're going to have a packed fun night on the Michigan Voice. We're going to talk about a lot of different things going on here in Michigan. So I am really looking forward to that show. I can't wait to hear all the different opinions and different ideas that are going to be coming from that show. So I'll be looking forward to Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern. We didn't get a lot of calls tonight, but we're going to really, like I said, go on the boards and go on Twitter and talk a little bit more about these decisions and the threats that President Obama's made. But I want to thank everyone that's listening to the show tonight. I want to thank Sonnie again for coming on the show. I really enjoyed the interview, and again, I hope to see you soon here in Detroit. Thanks, Stacy, for calling in, and thank everyone that's listening on the show tonight. Thank you so much for your support. I'll let you know soon about the announcement that me and Stacy were talking about. I've been really thinking about some things. People have been reaching out about me getting more involved in office, so I'll let you know exactly what's going on with that as soon as I know exactly what's going on. So thank you again for everyone listening on the show, on the Wayne Bradley Show. Go to the website, conservativescool.com. Check out the latest news, latest polls. We're going to be putting out some new polls with the presidential race coming up. So thank you, everyone that's been listening. God bless you, and good night.